hostess, and this here may be tough to you. Snack cake to me, yeah, more hostess. This been overdue forever. Asked me when it was dropping, said never. Should've made you cut the feta, but I designed it Freemason Margiela.
What's goody, Shellitronnn here, the most spoke, no joking. I'm back at again with a brand new video, and I have some really extremely big news that I feel like I need to share with you guys, and I really need to get into because there's a lot of things in this article that I read that answer a lot of questions, but also raise maybe even more questions than the ones that were answered. But before I get into all that, I do want to address something I did in my last video, something I said where I mentioned that the play where it looked like Jarvis Landry caught a ball against double coverage deep, and I said it may have been Mike Adams' fault on that play. I watched that play a little bit more, and I think that maybe that play that was called was probably a cover 3 buzz, or that means that it's cover 3, but one of the safeties still plays low. So if that actually was the case, and it wasn't Mike Adams' job to go deep and help Dante over the top, then that wasn't on him. That was just a really bad play call. But in the same vein, when you see that there's no one coming to the right side flat, you have to make a decision on whether you're going to guard grass or you're going to help over the top when you're playing 5 yards underneath the sticks. So while I now believe that that was actually the play call, I think it's still 50-50 on play calling and recognizing the situation and understanding that even if an underneath pass got through there, which you still have to make a decision on what you're going to do, whether it's going to be help up top or end up standing in no man's land and getting caught up doing almost nothing. But I don't want to dwell too much on that, and honestly, I like the feedback and the conversations we had in the comments, because that's what I want to do. Even if I'm wrong, I'm okay with being wrong if we can have a conversation. If you saw something I didn't see, it's always cool to get that different perspective and we can talk about it like that. So I might do more videos like that. We'll see how it goes in the next few weeks. Anyway, we're past that. This article that I just read off the Post and Courier, which is actually a South Carolina publication. Let's go down to PIP right now. Look at this site. Post and Courier coming out of South Carolina. The headline reads, Carolina Panthers plan to build Team HQ practice facility in South Carolina. And this isn't really the hugest news. I think we were all pretty much very aware of this possibility happening. I know there's a lot of news coming out of the training camp, mini camp, and especially like right around the preseason, and how in David Tepper's first few pressers, he was talking about, maybe thinking about bringing a soccer team, maybe expanding the Panthers franchise to not just being in Charlotte or North Carolina, discussing South Carolina having maybe a bigger role and expanding. One thing he mentioned that really stuck out to me was his desire to have facilities that were indoor for practices, and that's really a big thing in the NFL, because when you're having your training camp and whatnot, your mini camp, all that kind of stuff, you kind of want to have no days off. So when it rains, we had some days that were canceled for rain. We all know that games in the NFL are played in the rain, and you're gonna have to deal with playing with solid conditions, field conditions maybe not being up to par, not being perfect. But when you're in training camp and you're trying to develop new talent and scout the talent you have and see who you have in your team and actually see what their skills are, you want to be able to do that in optimal conditions, just so you can see what they're capable of and not have to say, well, they did pretty well, but they made some mistakes. But maybe it was the ground, maybe it was the soggy, wet ground, the conditions, maybe it was kind of muggy out there. I'm not 100% sure if what they brought to the table was their absolute best because of the weather, or are they just actually not as good as I think they are, and it's not to do with like the soggy conditions. And besides that, it's the year 2018. This is the NFL. They have money. We can get an indoor facility for our players to practice in, and also for a team that prides itself and markets itself as a one team for 2 states kind of franchise. It is cool to see us getting a little bit more involved with South Carolina, having them have a bigger role, and expanding not only the brand and the team franchise, but also bringing more jobs to both the Carolinas, which is something that Jerry Richardson could have done in his tenure here, but never did. And I think this is a really, really smart move on David Tepper's part to not only make a better facility and make a better kind of environment and culture for our team, but also make a pretty concerted effort to get South Carolina involved, because honestly, it feels like a North Carolina team. Everything in the regular season is basically North Carolina based, and obviously if you're in South Carolina, you're stuck between the Panthers and the Falcons, and there's Carolina in your state name, so you kind of feel like obligated to be a fan of the Panthers, but you don't really feel involved because there's not much going on there. Adding more facilities, the team HQ, and a lot of other things to South Carolina will probably solidify South Carolina and South Carolinians in general and feeling more and more part of the Carolina Panthers family, even though they already were. Let's admit it, it was basically North Carolina based other than training camp. Now there's some really, really interesting things in this article I want to go over real quick. It talks about, how we're going to be trying to get some more things in York County and how David Tepper's looking to find some kind of area, some kind of a site to place these new facilities here. And they said there's probably a spot in Fort Mill, which if you live in Charlotte, you understand that Fort Mill is basically Charlotte Jr. It's right across the street from Charlotte. Maybe like, 15, 20 minutes away from the stadium. I mean, honestly, if you're anywhere in Charlotte, everything is 15 to 20 minutes away. Everything you need to do in Charlotte or in that surrounding area is in a pretty decent, a pretty reasonable drive away from each other. And this is no different. I think it's 15 miles away from the stadium. That's cool. But there's a sentence right here that I highlighted. It says, in the near future, the Panthers are expected to upgrade Bank of America Stadium or find a replacement. This is actually pretty big news, pretty telling, because of another quote later in the article, pretty far down the article, honestly. I would be very surprised if we're not playing indoors before the end of next summer for practice, Tepper told reporters before a game in his hometown of Pittsburgh. He did not name a location. Now, when David Tepper was first announced as the new owner for the Panthers, but honestly, when we started all the other guys whose names escape me right now, I did videos on all the guys who are going to be candidates for buying the Panthers. When they were, talking about buying the Panthers, there was a lot of talk from Panthers fans and just people in general talking about, oh man, new owner, we're going to have a whole different logo, different colors. They're going to move the team from North Carolina to Europe. This one guy's going to send the team to Canada. Maybe we're going to end up moving to Florida. That's where this guy's house is in. Florida cannot support a fourth NFL team. That's off rip. But this statement right here from David Tepper has me questioning that just a little bit. Now, I know when you first got on the video, you saw the title, you think to yourself, what is this clickbait? What is this man trying to clickbait me for? Well, the Panthers gonna move. What does that even mean? This, while it may not be 100% clear as to whether or not we're going to move or not, this brings up some pretty serious questions as to what the actual future is for this team. It is very expensive to put a roof on a stadium. It's not impossible, but it's honestly extremely expensive. It may honestly be easier to just build a whole new stadium. And we know about how Bank of America Stadium just got renovated. What was it, 5 years ago? Maybe it was 3 or 4 years ago. I'm not 100% sure when that was, but it was a pretty recent renovation as far as, NFL stadium renovations go. And I'm not 100% sure what's going to happen to the team. Now, my gut tells me we're going to stay in North Carolina and we're going to stay in Uptown Charlotte, right where it is right now, at a retractable roof probably, because, these teams that get Super Bowl bids, they are all either indoor stadiums or they have a retractable roof. Because, like I said in a different video, no one from out of town who goes to Super Bowl games, who pays those Super Bowl ticket prices, celebrities, or even just rich people who have money and want to just say, I went to Super Bowl this year, they can post it on their social media. No one wants to go to a Super Bowl game where it's raining. No one wants to end up in the rain at the Super Bowl, although they're probably going to be in boxes. But what you'll notice here from a lot of the teams that get these Super Bowl bids, they're indoor stadiums, and it just makes sense. Those teams, those cities, and by extension, those states that host the Super Bowl make a lot of money in various ways. The restaurants do well, the hotels do well, obviously the stadium does really well. Then you think about the taxes and how the whole state benefits, so just about everyone does well when your team hosts the Super Bowl. And it's very, very hard for a team with an open top stadium to get a Super Bowl bid. So that could be playing into it just a little bit here, but I'm actually very concerned about what exactly this means for the Panthers going forward and where they're going to be playing. That's very, very interesting to me. And there's probably a lot of spaces in South Carolina for the team, but I hope we keep the team in Uptown Charlotte. Even if it does stay in North Carolina, even if it does stay in Charlotte, I hope it stays in Uptown Charlotte and not like somewhere out, I don't know about Mooresville, or like somewhere out there, maybe 15, 20 minutes away, in one of those like kind of smaller areas, one of those more like lesser populated areas. People want to go to the games, and with the light rail that just got constructed, I think just a few months ago, maybe just several months ago in Charlotte, that was an extremely, extremely convenient way for fans who don't have cars or just don't want to deal with the traffic, the traffic of a Panthers football game. They can just go on the light rail or go to the parking, I guess, from the light rail, or even go from the university or any other areas in the whole city and get to the game quickly and easily and efficiently without having to deal with all the other inconveniences of going to a big event like an NFL football game. Let's go ahead and couch that for now and say that for another day, because we will be hearing more about that. There is no way this story goes quietly. We'll hear a lot more about that, especially in the next upcoming weeks, the next upcoming months. We'll be hearing about that. And he said by the end of next summer? The end of next summer? If I know one thing about construction in Charlotte, North Carolina, it don't go fast. it don't go fast. I'll tell you that right now. Actually, UNC Charlotte's been under construction for the last like 5, 6, 7 years. They get those buildings up pretty quickly. I ain't gonna lie to you. There's a lot in this article. I'll leave the link in the description below talking about how the new facilities in South Carolina are gonna have like restaurants, different hotels, all this other stuff to make the area look a lot nicer. And that's really good because in the same move as improving the team and improving the facilities and improving the team relations with the area, you're also creating more jobs and you're also creating positivity in people's lives with both the states. So you can actually say it's 2 states, 1 team. So I kind of feel that a lot. What are your thoughts on this issue? Like I said, I definitely invite you to read the article, read the whole thing. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And you already know to do with that like button.
Cheers to you, appreciate the chance. Been told y'all I been the man. Been told y'all I had the gift. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Real ones gonna recommend. Count this as another win.